In the demanding intellectual landscape of a PhD program, four forces quietly determine whether research merely repeats what is known or expands what is possible. Theories, models, assumptions, and imagination. A doctorate is not simply a long assignment, it is an apprenticeship in knowledge-making. Day by day, the doctoral researcher learns to move between abstraction and evidence, between what is already established and what has not yet been proven. In this environment, theories, models, assumptions, and imagination are not academic buzzwords. They are the essential tools of scientific reasoning. They shape how questions are formed, how investigations are designed, and how results are interpreted. Each plays a distinct role, but it is their interplay, iterative, sometimes uneasy, always consequential, that drives discovery and innovation. To understand doctoral research is to understand how these four elements work independently, how they rely on each other, and how each can fail. Part 1. Theories. A theory is a structured explanation of phenomena built upon a substantial body of evidence, evidence that has survived repeated testing, scrutiny, and revision. A theory is not a guess, it is an organized framework that integrates facts, observations, and hypotheses into a coherent account of how something works. This is why theories matter so deeply in PhD research. They provide the intellectual backbone of inquiry. They tell you what is plausible, what has been seen before, and what predictions should follow if the world behaves as the theory claims. In engineering and physics, theoretical frameworks can be precise and mathematically rigorous. Consider electrical engineering. Foundational theoretical principles describe electromagnetic behavior, allowing researchers to reason about fields, energy transfer, and system behavior with remarkable predictive power. Yet even the strongest theories are not immutable truths. They are robust, but not permanent. Theories are always open to refinement when new evidence appears, and occasionally, evidence forces a deeper transformation, a revision of the theory itself, or the emergence of a new paradigm. For many doctoral researchers, progress begins at the edge of theory, where observations do not fit neatly, where anomalies persist, where predictions fail. That tension is not an inconvenience, it is a research opportunity. A PhD may contribute by identifying a limitation, clarifying a boundary condition, or proposing a refinement that improves explanatory power. Theories, then, are foundations, but living ones. Their strength is proven through their ability to withstand challenges, adapt under scrutiny, and guide reliable interpretation. Part 2. Models. If theories are the framework, models are the instruments we build inside it. A model is a simplified representation of a system or phenomenon, designed to explain behavior or predict outcomes based on selected variables and their relationships. Models are not reality, they are abstractions, crafted choices about what to include, what to ignore, and what to approximate. This is why models are indispensable in doctoral research. Complex systems, whether transformer dynamics, material magnetization, biological networks, or economic behavior, are often too intricate to study directly in full detail. Models allow researchers to isolate mechanisms, run simulations, test parameter sensitivity, and explore scenarios that would otherwise be too costly, too slow, or physically impossible. In practice, a doctoral candidate might build a transfer function model to describe how a system responds across frequencies, or construct a physical model to represent the dynamics of magnetization in ferromagnetic materials. In each case, the model becomes a working tool, a way to operationalize theoretical principles in a form that can be computed, measured against data, and improved. But models carry a central vulnerability. Because they simplify, they mislead. A model might omit a variable that turns out to matter, It might encode relationships that hold in one context but fail in another. It may perform well on limited data and then fail catastrophically when conditions change. Model validation is therefore not optional, it is a defining discipline of research. Rigorous researchers test models against independent datasets, evaluate predictive performance with transparent metrics, and remain alert to dangers like overfitting, when a model becomes too tailored to noise rather than signal. A good model is not the most complex, it is the one that balances simplicity with explanatory power, capturing what matters, acknowledging what it cannot, and remaining honest about its limits. Part 3. Assumptions. Underneath both theories and models lie assumptions. Assumptions are premises taken as true, often temporarily, so that analysis becomes feasible. They simplify complexity by allowing the researcher to proceed without proving every condition from first principles. Assumptions sound harmless, that temperature remains constant during a measurement, that external disturbances are negligible, that material properties are uniform, that a parameter can be treated as fixed. But assumptions are among the most fragile elements of research because they are easiest to overlook and hardest to detect when wrong. A flawed assumption can produce clean-looking results that are fundamentally misleading. It can distort interpretation, bias conclusions, and drive months of work in the wrong direction, especially if the research environment discourages questioning. This is why the most credible doctoral work makes assumptions explicit, not buried, not implied, stated clearly, then tested. Sensitivity analysis becomes crucial here, changing assumptions systematically to observe how conclusions shift. If a small change collapses your result, the work may be unstable. If a result persists across plausible conditions, the research becomes more robust. The goal is not to eliminate assumptions, that is impossible. The goal is to justify them, test them, and disclose their risks, so the work is transparent, interpretable, and trustworthy. Part 4. Imagination. And then there's imagination, the most misunderstood component of scientific work and often the most essential. Imagination is the creative capacity to propose ideas not yet supported by evidence, new hypotheses, novel mechanisms, unconventional experimental designs, or entirely new directions of inquiry. In doctoral research, imagination is not decoration, it is fuel. It is how new questions are born, how blind spots become visible, how researchers escape the gravitational pull of what has always been done. Of course, imaginative ideas are highly vulnerable to being wrong. Many will fail empirical testing, some will be unworkable, others will collapse under methodological scrutiny. But failure is not wasted effort. Even rejected hypotheses can reveal constraints, generate new data, and sharpen the next iteration of theory or model. In science, wrong ideas can still be productive if they lead to clearer questions and better methods. In the end, theories, models, assumptions, and imagination define the architecture of meaningful doctoral scholarship. Theories anchor inquiry, models operationalize it, assumptions constrain it, imagination expands it. When these four forces are understood and consciously managed, doctoral research becomes more than analysis, it becomes discovery. I am eager to benchmark my progress against the wider UK doctoral community. To that end, I am issuing a formal challenge to all UK-based PhD students across any research discipline. I will award £1,000 to any student who can demonstrate the publication of 3 peer-reviewed journal articles derived directly from their first-year annual report. This offer constitutes a legally binding unilateral contract under UK law. Should you meet or exceed this performance benchmark, I am committed to transferring the funds to your account.